Chapter 1. The Night Departure. My name is Igor. I am 35 years old. I am a journalist, and that night I was riding a night train from one city to another, on my way to write a report about the closing of an old factory. 5 other people rode in my train car: an elderly woman with a suitcase, a young couple who barely spoke to each other, a businessman in an expensive suit, and a quiet man in glasses who read a book the entire trip. Exactly at midnight, the train suddenly stopped between stations. The lights in the car flickered and went out for a few seconds. When the lights came back on, the businessman was gone. His seat was empty. His compartment door was locked from the inside. Chapter 2. The First Questions. The train conductor, a woman named Marina, was in a panic. "This has never happened before," she repeated. "The doors between the cars were locked all night. He couldn't have simply walked out." We stood in the middle of an empty field, and the next station was an hour away. As a journalist, I decided to start asking questions. Maybe my habit of investigating could help find the truth faster than the police. The elderly woman said she had seen the businessman an hour before midnight, speaking nervously on the phone at the end of the car. The young couple said they had seen and heard nothing. The quiet man in glasses did not even look up from his book. Chapter 3. The Strange Phone. The conductor found the businessman's phone. It was lying under the seat in his compartment. The last message had been sent 10 minutes before midnight. "I know what you did. Meet me on this train." I'm telling the police everything. Who had sent this message? And who was it meant for? The businessman himself? Or had he written it to someone else? I checked the passenger list. The businessman's ticket had been bought only one day before the trip. As if he had been in a hurry to leave somewhere, the young couple suddenly looked more tense than before. Chapter 4. The First Lie. I spoke with the young man from the couple alone. "Are you sure you saw nothing?" I asked. He was silent, then said quietly, "I stepped into the vestibule to smoke around 11. I saw the businessman talking to the conductor. They were speaking quietly, but angrily. This was new information. Conductor Marina had told me she had not spoken to the passenger at all. Someone was lying. I felt that the mystery of this train was far more complicated than a simple disappearance. Chapter 5. The Conductor's Past. I asked Marina directly about her conversation with the businessman. At first, she denied everything. But when I showed her the young passenger's statement, she gave in. "Fine," she sighed. "He recognized me. 5 years ago I worked at the factory you're writing about. That man was the director. He fired half the workers without warning, including my sister. She couldn't find new work, and..." Marina fell silent. "She died in poverty 2 years later. You hated him," I said quietly. "Yes, but I never touched him. I only told him that I knew who he was." Chapter 6. The Second Witness. The quiet man in glasses finally spoke. "I know who you are, Madame Marina," he said unexpectedly. "But I also know who this businessman really was." He showed old financial records from the factory. "I'm an auditor. The shareholders hired me to investigate a large sum of missing money before the factory closed. The businessman moved the money into his own personal accounts. He was riding this train to flee the country with the workers' money. Now we had 2 people with strong motives: Marina, who had lost her sister, and the factory workers, who had lost their money. But the disappearance from the locked compartment remained unexplained. Chapter 7. The young couple's secret. Before the police arrived, I decided to question the young couple again. Something about their behavior would not let me rest. The young woman finally broke into tears and confessed, "We're not a couple. I'm the businessman's daughter. We weren't talking to each other because I was following him. I found out he was planning to run away with the money and abandon our whole family, including my mother. The man beside me is a private detective I hired." The detective nodded. "We were watching him all evening, but I swear we never entered his compartment." Now we had 3 suspects with different motives and still no explanation for how a man had vanished from a locked room. Chapter 8. Solving the Locked Door. I went back to the businessman's empty compartment and examined it more carefully. The window was small, but not fully locked. The old latch was broken. I looked outside. Along the entire length of the train, near the roof, ran a narrow maintenance walkway. Old trains used it as an emergency exit. I understood no one had entered the compartment. The businessman had left on his own, through the window, onto the maintenance walkway while the lights were out, and had made his way into another car, pretending to be just another passenger. He had staged his own disappearance so that everyone would think something terrible had happened to him, while he planned, perhaps, to jump off the train later at some deserted spot. Chapter 9. The Chase. We radioed our theory to the police through the conductor. Police began searching the train cars at the next station. The businessman was found hiding in the baggage car, disguised in a stolen railway worker's uniform. He had not expected anyone to solve the window trick so quickly. When they let him out, he gave his daughter one long, heavy look, but said nothing. Police found a large sum of cash in his bag, money stolen from the factory workers. Chapter 10. Different Kinds of Truth. By morning, the train finally arrived at the station. The passengers dispersed in silence. Marina looked at me. "Thank you for finding the truth," she said. "Though my sister still won't come back." The businessman's daughter said nothing, only nodded to me in farewell, her face full of mixed feelings, relief and shame at once. I wrote this report not only about the closing of the factory. I wrote about a man who ran from the consequences of his own choices, and about the people whose lives he had destroyed along the way. Sometimes a mystery isn't about a disappearance. It's about how many people carry the weight of someone else's lies. The end.